Yeah, he looked absolutely wrecked. A visibly weak Donald Trump rolled back into Washington, D.C., then stepped outside the White House for what turned into a train wreck of a press conference. He was clearly struggling, repeating himself and saying things like, can't understand, can't understand. When he finally grasped what reporters were asking, his responses ranged from evasive to alarming.
They haven't found the shooter?
For example, when asked about Russia's drones over Poland, he called it probably a mistake. Before the press conference, Trump attended the 9/11 ceremony at the Pentagon, and frankly, his appearance there was deeply disturbing. His face appeared drooped on one side. He struggled with his speech. He looked lost.
Hilda E. Taylor. Lieutenant Colonel Kip P. Taylor, United States Army. Leonard E. Taylor. Sandra C. Taylor. Sandra D. Teague.
Medical experts have long raised concerns about possible strokes or neurological problems. I'm not making a diagnosis, but when you line up the symptoms, slurred words, difficulty walking, confusion, you can't ignore the pattern. Then came the press conference. Reporters asked Trump about Russia's drone strike that violated Polish airspace, a huge deal since Poland is a NATO ally and Article 4 was just invoked. A moment for real leadership, right? Instead, Trump completely short-circuited.
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland?
Could have been a mistake. Could have been a mistake, but regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
Think about that. Russia violates NATO airspace, and Trump shrugs it off as maybe just an accident. NATO depends on unity, on deterrence. Instead, Trump broadcasts weakness to Putin and to the world. Next, Trump was pressed about more than 60 people slaughtered in the Democratic Republic of Congo by ISIS-linked forces. And again, Trump's answer showed zero seriousness.
This week, Mr. President, I witnessed more than 60 people in DRC Congo were killed. There is people affiliated with ISIS. Terrorist groups are taking advantage because of the situation going on because of the war. So what is your word for Congolese people?
Well, we're going to be talking to them. As you know, we are talking to them. It's a very violent place. It's very, very violent. For a long time, it's been going on for 30 years, 35 years even, they say. But we're going to handle it. Thank you.
Then came Jair Bolsonaro. The former president of Brazil was just convicted for his role in an insurrection against democracy. Bolsonaro tried to do in Brazil what Trump tried to do here in America. So how did Trump respond? By praising him.
In Brazil, Bolsonaro was just found guilty by the Supreme Court. You've been very clear that you would apply sanctions. Are you thinking further sanctions to Brazil because of this Bolsonaro?
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man, and I don't see that happening.
Instead of condemning insurrection, Trump sympathized with it. Instead of standing with democracy, he stood with an authoritarian who tried to overturn an election. That tells you everything about Trump's values. And of course, Trump couldn't resist going back to his favorite playbook, scapegoating Democrats and the left. After reports of a deadly political assassination, Trump immediately blamed radical left lunatics.
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country.
And Trump's rhetoric didn't stop there. His MAGA allies in Congress and the Senate echoed the same dangerous language. blaming Democrats for violence before investigations were even complete. Here's what Congresswoman AOC had to say about this.
In his speech, he was very critical of left-wing violence. What do you think of that message, and do you agree with them that left-wing violence is a problem?
There is no understanding, as we know publicly, of who this individual is, what their motivations were, where they came from, whether it is a member of Congress, whether it is the President of the United States. To assume and assert and cast blame when the FBI has failed to even apprehend the assailant is absolutely an irresponsible action.
And we hear this all the time. Look at this MAGA Republican saying this.
They robbed a voice that spoke common sense because of their hatred to people that disagree with them, but yet they're the ones that try to champion free speech. But we're not the ones out there trying to silence them through violence. It's ridiculous. And I know, Sean, that I'm not the only one out there hurting, and I'm not the only one that's upset by this. But when is enough enough? When is the Democrats going to stand up and apologize for the hatred and the lies that they have fed their base that's led to these actions?
And if this wasn't enough, here we have one more. MAGA Congressman Bob Ander.
Well, what for us? Well, everything has changed. If we didn't know it already, there is no longer any middle ground. Some of the American left are undoubtedly well-meaning people, but their ideology is pure evil. They hate the good, the truth, and the beautiful, and embrace the evil, the false, and the ugly. And they literally will kill those with whom they disagree, just as their predecessor leftists, Marx and Stalin and Lenin and Pol Pot and Fidel Castro did. We must know that.
And before I wrap up, there's an important update on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Law enforcement has now confirmed that the suspected killer has been caught.
And I say that jumps out at me because they were looking at messages from Robinson to his roommate explaining that he had to retrieve a gun. In many cases, and I think this needs to be mentioned to people who are watching us now, in many cases that might seem a conspiracy, but they are really going out of their way to make sure everyone understands that Robinson is the lone suspect in this.
That's correct, Philip, and I've seen just within the last few minutes some new reporting from ABC News, speaking with some friends, classmates who knew Tyler Robinson, saying that they are shocked by this, that he was a nice person, really kept to himself, a little reserved, but really would not talk too much about politics. But we did learn that he had told, sounded like family members at a dinner recently, that he was aware that Charlie Kirk was coming here to this campus where I am right now in Orem, Utah. I want to give a few more details what we have learned about Robinson. We know that 22 years old, taken into custody last night, about 4 hours from where I am right now. He lives with his family in Washington County, Utah, taken into custody around 10 p.m. This is what we're learning, that his father played a critical role in his arrest, Philip. We're learning that his father convinced his son to turn himself in, that Robinson initially said no, but changed his mind. His father called a youth pastor who was also a U.S. Marshals Task Force officer. The task force officer advised him to have his son stay in place. The U.S. Marshals took him into custody and then contacted the FBI.
Now, here's the thing. When Trump and MAGA Republicans immediately blamed Democrats and the radical left for this killing, they didn't wait for the facts. They used a tragedy to fuel division. And what do we see now? That reckless rhetoric was not only wrong, it was dangerous.